What's going on? It's Tysophon. I hope you're doing well today, and I'm coming back at you guys with another video. So recently I decided to go back and replay Final Fantasy XIII, and something kind of interesting happened while I was playing it. The first time I played this game years ago, I was mostly focused on the gameplay, the graphics, and honestly just trying to keep up with everything happening in the story. But this time around, something else really stood out to me. As I was going through the story again, I started realizing that Final Fantasy XIII actually has a lot of meaningful life lessons hidden inside of it. And I don't just mean the big dramatic moments either. I mean the way the characters struggle, the way they deal with pressure, and the way they slowly start figuring things out along the way. At its core, this game is about a group of people whose lives suddenly get turned completely upside down. One moment they're living normal lives, and the next moment they're being hunted by the entire world and forced to complete a mission they don't even understand. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that there's actually a lot of lessons in this story that connect to real life. So today, I wanted to talk about some life lessons we can learn from Final Fantasy XIII, and why the story might actually be more relatable than people expect.
Who ordered the battalion?
Lesson 1. Sometimes life pushes you into situations you didn't choose. One of the first things that really stands out in this story is how suddenly everything changes for the characters. Lightning, Saz, Vanille, Snow, and Hope all end up becoming l'Cie, and the moment that happens, their lives are basically flipped upside down. They didn't ask for it, they didn't volunteer, and they definitely weren't prepared for it. All of a sudden, they're being treated like enemies of society, they're being hunted down, and they're expected to complete this mysterious mission that they barely even understand. It's an overwhelming situation for anyone to be in, but what's interesting is that even though they're confused and scared about what's going on, they still keep moving forward. And honestly, life can feel like that sometimes. There are moments where things happen that we didn't plan for. Maybe it's a sudden responsibility or a difficult situation you're going through, or just life pushing us in a direction we never expected to go. And in these moments, we don't always get the luxury of saying, "Oh, I'm not ready for this." Sometimes the only thing you could do is adapt and keep moving forward, even if you're still figuring things out along the way. Lesson 2. Everyone handles struggles differently. Another thing I really like about this story is how the characters react to everything in completely different ways. Lightning deals with the situation by becoming extremely focused and emotionally closed off. She pushes everything aside and concentrates on only surviving. Hope, on the other hand, is dealing with something completely different emotionally. He's grieving the loss of his mother, and he spends a lot of the early stories struggling with anger and resentment. And then there's Snow, who tries to stay positive and act like the hero of the group, even when things are clearly falling apart. What makes this interesting is that none of these reactions are really wrong. They're just different ways people deal with pain and stress. And I think that's something that feels very real for the players. Because when people go through difficult experiences in real life, everyone handles those emotions differently. Some people shut down emotionally, some people get angry, some people try to stay optimistic no matter what. Sometimes those differences can create tension between people, but what the story eventually shows is that once the characters start understanding each other better, they begin working together more effectively. And that's a really important reminder that sometimes people are dealing with struggles we can't see on the surface. And to be mindful that not everyone's gonna handle situations in the way that you handle situations. Lesson 3. Growth usually comes from the hardest moments. One of the best character arcs in the game easily belongs to Hope, and he's not even my favorite character. At the beginning of the story, Hope is honestly just overwhelmed by everything happening around him. He's scared, he's angry, and he feels completely powerless in the situation that he's in. For a while, he even blames Snow for what happened to his mother, but over time, you start to see Hope slowly change. Instead of letting that anger control him, he starts confronting the things that scare him. He begins learning from the people around him, and little by little, he becomes stronger mentally and emotionally. By the time you get later into the story, Hope isn't the same person you met at the beginning of the game. He becomes more confident, more thoughtful, and honestly one of the most level-headed members of the group. And that transformation highlights something that's very true in real life. Growth usually doesn't happen when everything is easy and everyone's having fun and everyone's all high-fiving each other. It usually happens during the moments when life challenges us the most. Those difficult experiences can shape us in ways that we don't even realize at times. Lesson 4, you don't have to face everything alone. Something else that really stands out in this story is how important teamwork becomes for the group. At the beginning, the characters are separated into smaller groups and there's a lot of tension between them. Some characters blame each other for what happened, and some of them just don't fully trust each other yet. But as the journey continues, something starts to change. They start opening up to each other more. They start sharing their fears, their frustrations, and the things that are motivating them to keep going. And eventually they realize what this specific lesson is all about. They can't get through this situation alone. Their real strength isn't just their abilities in combat, it's the fact that they're supporting each other. And that's something that applies to real life too. Sometimes we feel like we have to handle everything by ourselves, but having people you can trust makes even the most difficult situations feel more manageable. Lesson 5, you can change your destiny. Another major theme in the story is the idea of destiny. The characters are given something called a focus, which is essentially a mission they're expected to complete. The problem is they don't fully understand what that mission actually is, and the consequences are pretty terrifying. If they fail their focus, they turn into monsters. If they succeed, then they turn into crystal. Either way, it feels like their fate has already been decided for them. But instead of simply accepting that destiny, the characters begin questioning it. They start looking for another path. They refuse to believe that their lives are already predetermined. And that idea connects to something that a lot of people struggle with in real life. Sometimes it feels like your future is already decided for you, whether it's because of expectations from other people or just your own doubts. But the story reminds us that our choices still matter. Even when the path forward isn't clear, that doesn't mean that we don't have the ability to shape our own future. Lesson 6, hope can carry you through dark times. If there's one message that really ties the whole story together, like other Final Fantasy games, it's the idea of hope. Throughout most of the game, the characters are constantly being hunted and misunderstood by the world around them. They're seen as the enemies, they're forced to run, and the odds are stacked against them almost the entire time. But even with all that happening, they just keep going. They keep fighting, and the reason they keep moving forward is because they believe that there's still a chance things can change. Hope isn't just a name of one of the characters. It's actually one of the central themes of the entire story, because even when you're feeling down and out, hope can be the thing that gives you the strength to keep pushing forward against adversity. At the end of the day, Final Fantasy XIII isn't just a story about saving the world and completing focuses and stuff. It's really a story about people trying to figure out their place in a situation they never asked for. It's about growth, trust, and facing your fears and learning how to move forward when the future feels uncertain. And honestly, with all the hate that this game gets, that's one of the reasons why I think the storytelling in this game specifically can be so powerful. Sometimes stories like this end up reflecting real life in ways we didn't expect. But now I'm curious about your thoughts. What life lessons did you take away from Final Fantasy XIII? As usual, if you liked the video, hit the like button. If you want to keep up with more of my videos, hit the subscribe button, and always remember to have hope. This has been Timecodes, and I'm out, people. Later.